Hey everybody, it's Austin here, and I just want to make this quick update. It's kind of mid-season, and I don't usually have a ton of time in between races to put out a lot of content, but I have a little bit of something that I want to talk about today. So we're going to go over a bit of an issue that I ran into when I was getting ready for the last race. So, this is, or was, my linkage. Now, as you can see, it's quite a bit of damage there on the front, so much so that it's completely shot all the way through, and there's quite a bit of wear here on these sides as well, and down into the inside. And the first thing I want to talk about is how we noticed this. So I was actually doing some work on my clutch, and we lifted up the rear of the quad to put it up on a stand. And when that happened, somebody pointed out, "Hey man, your shock is moving a lot. Is that normal?" And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I hadn't really noticed any issues with it previously. So I had somebody else kind of wiggle the rear end there while I could take a look at it. And, well, sure as heck, the shock was moving probably about a good inch, kind of like forward and back. So if you think about the shock sitting this way, here, I'll use this tool to demonstrate. So imagine this is your shock here. It sits kind of at an angle, and when you lift up the rear end and the linkage can move front and rear, then all of a sudden the shock tilts like that at full extension. Now, it's noteworthy that up until you hit that full extension point, the shock wasn't really doing anything at all, but as soon as you took the pressure completely off, then it would rotate forward like that. So that's how we recognized that there was an issue. Once we started looking at it deeper, started taking things off, we realized that it was either cracked or damaged or something like that. And then once we got it off, this is the condition we found it in. It also ruined the bolt and the dust covers that are on the outside. They completely were squished and damaged. So those were toast as well. And luckily, I have the quad here behind me, so I'll turn around real quick. I had a good friend there at the race who happened to have a linkage on hand, as well as some other folks that pitched in with the bolt and the dust covers. Altogether, we were able to put together the parts to keep this thing on the track and get through the weekend there at Albany. And bonus is that even though they aren't the exact same construction, ultimately the dimensions of this one here and the one that we put on the quad that's actually custom made were the exact same. So when you're looking at that like eye to eye length, they were the exact same there. So that was all good. We were able to make it work. Bit stressful, but made it happen. So pretty fortunate that that was the case, and really thankful to have a great racing community to depend on when stuff like that comes up. But let's talk about now what I think happened to this part, how to possibly prevent something like this from happening in the future, and just some of my other thoughts here. So I just from looking at this, especially the front end here, you can see that this thing is severely rusted. And it's a little bit hard to tell on camera, but the inside here is totally rusted out. So this is a case of something that needs to be greased frequently. And I will say, on this channel, I often emphasize maintenance quite a bit. And I say, you should go through your stuff regularly, make sure it's greased, make sure it's in good condition. Well, I did do that, particularly at the beginning of the season before we went into the next season. I made sure to go through stuff like this. Made sure to go through it and make sure it's greased and ready to go. And I will tell you, at the beginning of the racing season here in April, this part did not look like this, and I had put grease in it. So I will admit, I did not check it after that. We don't ride for more than, at most an hour per race weekend. There's been no practices between this year. So, I kind of have been a little bit just slipping up on being like routine about checking everything in between races. I try and, make sure everything's clean, make sure all the basic maintenances are done, but, going through with a fine-tooth comb and checking things like my linkage, just it kind of falls off the radar, especially when you've got things going on with work and everything else in life. So wasn't able to be as on top of this one as I normally would be, and I think that plays a part here. So I definitely accept some blame personally, and it's a good lesson for all of you guys watching that take my own advice and listen to what I say better than I listen to what I say, and make sure you're checking these things and you're greasing them, because this is the kind of thing that can happen. Something interesting though about this case that I think is worth pointing out, the actual, so back up. So the dust seals, which go here and here, that are metal on the outside. I don't remember if the Yamaha ones in particular have rubber on the inside, but a lot of times they do. In any case, those cover this area up and kind of keep, the elements out, keep the grease in. Obviously, it's not a perfect system, but that's kind of what the intent is. And generally speaking, they do work pretty well. On top of that, Texera comes with all the bearings pre-installed, so everything, bearings, bushings, everything that goes into the linkage here at this pivot point is already ready to go from the moment you purchase this part and put it on. So that's all good. But what's interesting here is that if you factor in all those parts, right, you have a dust cover, you have a bearing, I believe there's a metal sleeve, different things like that, and then your bolt. The rust actually, from looking at this, appears to start on the inside of the linkage and work its way out. And I say that because there's a lot of bubbling all over this part here. A lot of rust bubbling happening. Now, again, last year I was more on top of this. This thing was greased even more often. It was greased right off the bat when I put it on. It was brand new. So, and it didn't look like this last year. But what I do have to wonder, the lighting's not very good here, but if you imagine this part with bearings on each side, you wouldn't be able to really get this clear view that you get now, being able to see down in there. I have to wonder if the rust actually started on the inside and worked its way out. So even with, everything accounted for and being properly greased, and your bearings and whatnot, you wouldn't be able to detect that the rust had started eating from the inside out of this part in this section where you can't even get a visual. And I suspect that that's sort of what happened here. There's no way to know at this point, but just looking at the way that this part has damaged, that seems to be the more likely outcome. Then over time, obviously, parts start to wear out once they're exposed to that kind of corrosion, and so everything starts to go bad from there. Ultimately, like I said, maintenance is really, really important. The damage to this part's really unfortunate. I don't want to knock, Texera necessarily here for the failure of this part, although the one thing I will say is that it's really, really odd. I've definitely, never seen this happen with a linkage with, at this point, probably 40 hours tops on it since, oh gosh, even less. It'd probably be 30 hours because I didn't run this linkage right away when I started riding the quad. So if I'm just going off the hour meter and about the time I installed this, yeah, probably 30-ish hours on it. And with greasing and maintenance done along the way. So kind of a little bit mind-boggled as to how quickly this happened. Certainly parts do wear over time, and racing's tough on parts, and they're exposed to all sorts of elements and different things. But yeah, I don't know, just kind of a crazy situation. Luckily I was able to get it fixed up, was able to get something on the quad that works. And I'll be this much more on top of, all that kind of, greasing and checking and everything like that. But definitely a bummer. I I don't know, you know, like I said, I don't know if this is specific to this part because I mean, some people buy these quads, they run their stock linkage, they never ever grease them from the factory and never run into an issue. So I don't want to say it's a Texair thing, but would I buy another one, you know, because I have recommended or have included this part as kind of, you know, part of my build in the past and, you know, mentioned the benefits of running it. I probably wouldn't buy another one. I don't know if I'll continue to run the linkage I have now or use something different for a rear end setup down the road, but yeah, it's definitely something that I need to put more time and consideration into. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say at the end of the day, this could have been a lot worse had I not caught it. Had it not been caught, you know, with the helpful eye of some other people. I don't want to take all the credit there for that myself, but had this not been caught, this could have resulted in something much worse. You know, you're talking about the shock going full extension when you jump, and then when you land, all that force and weight's going to be put on it in the opposite direction. Even if this part doesn't fail, because there is a pretty sturdy piece here that would have taken a lot of force to break through on each side. You know, certainly the bolt could snap, different things like that. And then your entire rear end essentially is toast. So not a good thing to have happen. And yeah, really glad that we found this when we did. So anyways, that is the update. I will be doing a full build update on the quad come end of race season. Last year I did it before the season, partly because I didn't know if we were going to be racing at all, but this year we got a full race season under our belt, one more round to go, so I will do kind of a full update and review of everything on the quad here come the end of the final round, and then that way I'll actually be able to give some really insightful feedback into how everything worked for this year. So until then, stay tuned. Look out for some GoPro videos from Washougal coming here in about probably about 2 weeks from now, and we'll hopefully be chatting soon. Thanks. Oh yeah, because I'm an idiot, make sure to subscribe somewhere down here. Likes also happen down here. You can dislike it too, but you know, prefer if you don't. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, there's a Patreon link down here. Appreciate any support, and you know, leave some comments down here. I'll like them, respond to them, you know, do a little bit of typing, and yeah, that's it.